Welcome back to Occasional Randomness. I'm your host, Eric Scott, and joining me, as always, my fellow co-host, someone who loves a good magic trick, Jason Johnson.
Abracadabra. Wait, no, nobody disappear. We actually are going to do a show. Hang out. It'll be cool.
Although, speaking of disappearing, one of our main Farscape characters that we don't like disappeared for this episode again, so bonus.
It's funny that.
Yeah, we might talk about that in a minute. We'll see. Anywho, on today's podcast, as you might expect, we're continuing through the final season of Farscape with Season 4, Episode 9, A Prefect Murder. And we'll also be talking about the first third of the latest Marvel Disney Plus series, Agatha All Along. And for those of you that like math, since that's 9 episodes, that would be episodes 1 through 3.
Yeah, which actually that threw me off because at one point I looked online not realizing that they hadn't come out yet, and there was only 7, and I was like, did I misunderstand the assignment? But anyway.
Yeah. So it'd be the first almost half. Wait a minute. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And as always, a little PSA here. If you like what we do, please give us a like or a review, or better yet, help spread the word and let people know about us. We would appreciate it.
Please and thank you.
All right, let's jump into this amazing episode of Farscape. Which, again, wait for it. we'll talk about this in a minute.
Holding it in.
Yeah. Season 4, Episode 9, A Prefect Murder. So we open with Aeryn standing next to her prowler, which is on a planet. Which is probably good because you couldn't stand out when you're in space. Anyway.
It's going to be one of those, huh?
Oh, yeah. She has a flash of her telling a small child who's messing around with her prowler, "Don't touch that." The child continues and begins to hum away. Meanwhile, some townsfolk are wailing at Chiana as she seems to be leaving, with Dargo following her. An alien priest is behind her, yelling at her, "Banishment is lenient for your indiscretions." "Many indiscretions," Chiana shouts back, as people hurl things at her. "No wonder your men were begging for it," she shouts. So, there we go. Chiana being Chiana. Dargo tells her she's not helping, no kidding, and adds that it's no wonder she gets thrown off every planet she lands on. Chiana says to another alien, Elet, that he's friends with the planet's leader. Maybe she can appeal to him one-on-one. He tells her the prefect has already rejected her petition, but bids her a safe journey. Go away. Chiana gets upset, but gets pulled away. Back at the Prowler, that child continues to hum, while Aeryn has a flash of her striking the child. Meanwhile, Dargo tells Chiana that Moya is lying dormant in space, and this is the first planet in 20 that they visited that has any drinking water, and she's going to get them kicked off. "But I didn't do anything," she protests. A woman's upset that an outsider has been with her son, and Chiana turns around. "Is he the cute one?" she asks, and then taunts the woman. Dargo berates Chiana for continuing to provoke them, and Aeryn tells her to come over here so she can be sent away in her prowler. Dargo meets with a clan leader. Oh, good. Gasha.
Good job.
Hey, Gesundheit. "More than you know is at stake here," he yells at Dargo. Dargo says no, he understands, but the man says no, nobody does. Unity of these clans is new, peace is new. And he says peace is fragile, to be endangered by some indelicate horror, as Chiana flies away in the prowler.
That's always good advice.
Yep, spot on. We cut to John, who's with the prefect, and assures him that Aeryn and Sikozu are perfect ladies at all times. Aeryn calms him as she's being led through the woods by the child. John tells her that the prefect has accepted their apology for Chiana's conduct and a generator as compensation, as Aeryn has a flash of Gasha. The child giggles and leads her off. John tells her this is a good deal, allowing them all to stay on the planet, but Aeryn is preoccupied and tells him the comms are frilled and to call back later. "Well, she seems a bit moody," the prefect says. "Man, you should have met her mother," John replies. Aeryn reaches the market, where Dargo is talking with Gasha. Dargo says he can help him, but Gasha says the less anyone sees of him and his friends, the better. Aeryn has another flash, and this time sees Gasha being shot. John calms her to say he's talked to Rigel, and Moya is still out of commission. He asks how she's doing, and she says, "I'm getting a really bad bribe," she says. "Oh God, she's talking English," John says. "Vibe. You mean really bad vibe," he tells her, sniffing more of Naranti's drug. As John continues, Aeryn has further flashes of Gasha being shot. She tells John she'll get back to him. She checks her pulse pistol, looks up at the child who's eating something from a stall. She has another flash, and this time she sees half of the market being shot down, and sees Gasha being shot over and over. Meanwhile, Chiana is talking to Gasha, who will be prefect soon. She tells him she could come back then, but he says that would be suicide for her and her friends. This place is run by tight asses, she says, walking off. Dargo asks her how could she be so selfish with Moya floating dormant in space, and says that this is the first planet in 20 that has any drinking water. I sense a theme here. I already said that. They spar briefly, then Dargo goes to talk with Gasha. Gasha puts a knife to Dargo's throat and asks for a reason not to kill him. One stab, my clan is avenged. The leader's reassured. I am made prefect, he says. Dargo says that they're going to leave the Microt, their Leviathan revives. And Gasha says killing Dargo would improve everything, as only criminals come to this part of space. So there's probably a bounty on their heads. And you're right. Dargo says the Luxons overcame their violent past, but Gasha says it's in his bones, it's what he knows. More than you know is at stake here, he proclaims, insisting that peace is new and too fragile to be endangered by some indelicate horror.
Always good advice.
Yeah. Is this Groundhog Day? As Chiana leaves with the planet in the Prowler passing over them. Dargo says no one on the planet gives a dren about Chiana, but Gasha says the problem isn't simply her. It's your son, Dargo replies. Speaking of which, Sokozu is recreating, quote unquote, with Gasha's son Zerbat. Gasha tells Dargo that when the wars were ongoing, he traded his herd to send Zerbat off planet where he'd be safe and could learn other disciplines. Dargo recognizes that the prefect's son can't be seen as an outsider. All the other clans view Zerbat as corrupted by outside influences. And then we bring in Gianna, Dargo says. Speaking of
Doesn't
which,
sound like
Gianna,
that was the problem.
yeah, that's the only problem. Yeah. The aforementioned Gianna returns to the planet in the Prowler, where she finds Zerbat and Sokozu recreating. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Say no more.
Yep. Back in the market, Gasha and Dargo continue to talk, and Dargo tastes some food when another clan leader approaches. Gasha says the food is tasty, but the other leader retorts that it's fit for a prefect, a flavor he may never know. As he walks away, Gasha spits out the food and tells Dargo that if the clan leader acquires enough votes, he could be removed as prefect for being unworthy, or by being killed. Despite there being 200 clans, the priest, Perus, uses it as a negotiating tactic, and apparently his arguments can be compelling. As Aeryn is led in by the child, Gasha tells Dargo that the only risk is that his failure will signal that there's more to be gained from more than peace. Well, let me help you, Dargo says. The less anyone sees of you and your friends, the better for me, Gasha replies. Back out in the woods, Chiana interrupts Sokozu and Zerbat, and Dargo hears her over the open comm. They would stone you to death if I turned you in, Sokozu tells Chiana, who replies that she was banished for being with the locals, and Sokozu would probably be impaled for shacking up with their prince. Sokozu warns her not to tell anybody about this. Dargo shows up, grabs Chiana, telling her he wants to know why she's back when he put her on the Prowler himself. He asks if anyone else knows she's here. Of course not. I'm just sneaking around like I always am, she says. Good. Turn around and sneak back to the ship, Dargo says. Chiana storms off, saying she thinks this captain thing has really gone to his head. Dargo then tells Sokozu that Crichton wants her back on the transport pod now. The sooner she goes away, the sooner they'll all be able to come back. He tells her about it's his father who needs him now. Suddenly, they hear gunfire, and Dargo runs off through the woods. Meanwhile, or before, John's in the prefect's room, talking to Aeryn, telling her it's a good idea, a good deal, that allows them all to stay on the planet. She tells him the comms are frailed and to call her later. John tells the prefect that he'll get going, since the prefect has to leave soon to make room for the next one. The prefect says that the system of changing prefects every half cycle is frightening. He says it takes a 3-day festival to distract from the fact that somebody from another clan is now assuming power. It took him months of haggling thereafter to gain the slightest bit of support. Better than the club's or Machete's approach, says John. As Chiana is walking through the woods, that aforementioned priest, Perus, spots her and says she returns seeking forgiveness. Is it true what they say about priests? Chiana asks, that they give great religious experience? What I give is great consequence, he says. John talks to Dargo over the comms, with Dargo saying he feels it's important the future prefect can depend upon him. John says that Moya may not be ready yet, as tormented space has beaten the crap out of her. Dargo says that Gasha respects him, and it'd help if he could show that he has the crew under some sort of control, more or less. John calms Rigel, asking if Janet's back yet. Rigel says he didn't know she was coming. As John descends the stairs back to where everybody's at, he's grabbed by Eolette, who says he's puzzled by off-worlders. He says he has concerns about them, but John says that Eolette's boss seems to think he's okay, so he lets John go. And John calms Aeryn, who says she's getting a really bad bribe. John corrects her. Vibe. It's a really bad vibe. John says Dargo may be right. Cozying up to Gasha may be the only solution. Aeryn says she'll get back to him. Checks her pulse pistol. Dargo and John hear gunfire, start running towards it. And this time we see that in the market, all the townspeople in the market are being shot dead. As Gasha is hit, Dargo runs in screaming, no, but is also shot. And Aeryn is the shooter. Amidst the flames, the child crawls over to one of the dead bodies. John runs over to find everybody shot, followed by Sakozu and Zerbat. Sakozu checks Dargo, while Zerbat goes to Gasha, who is dead. Shortly after, Dargo assures them that it was Aeryn. He knows who shot him. One of the other clan chiefs comes in, and his people strike John. The leader tells them to take the crew's weapons and asks Dargo where the assassin is. I wouldn't tell you even if I knew. The clan leader accuses them all of being assassins when the priest arrives. He says the murderer can only be hunted on the order of the clan's next leader, in this case, Zerbat. The prefect arrives and asks what clan attacked. The other clan leader says it was not any of them, it was the outsider, and she's escaped. Find her, kill her, orders the prefect. The clan leader says that if she's acted on behalf of anyone, she'll be tortured until she tells them. The way the clans torture others, Peruse asks. Before the crew arrived, 2 clan leaders were already killed. John says he'll go and bring Aeryn back. No, I'll go, Zerbat insists. I have the right to avenge my father, to see his killer brought to justice. Peruse does say that is the law, and Zerbat says he'll go, but he'll take John with him, as he'll lead him to her. So we cut to John and Zerbat searching for Aeryn, and John wonders if Gasha was really the target. As Zerbat threatens to kill John, Sakuzu comes along, who talks him out of it, saying John is the only one who can help them find Aeryn. John says they should split up. So you can run? Zerbat asks. At this point, you either trust me or you don't, John says. Zerbat agrees, and he and Sakozu take one path, leaving John to the other. As John ponders sniffing more of the drug, Aeryn whispers near him that she's behind him. She asks if she killed Gasha. John confirms,
Bless
yep.
you.
Yeah, John confirms that and asks why'd she do it. I have no idea, she says. She explains that all she can remember was thinking, I can't stop myself. John asks about the others. What others? Well, Darker for one, John answers. Aeryn's surprised and says there weren't any others. It was just Gasha in one clean shot. John asks how much oil is left in her gun for one clean shot. So she checks her pistol. She asks how many other people she killed. 17, a voice answers. It's Peruse. He says people kill each other on this planet all the time. Finding a way to kill Gasha was finding a way to start a war. John says she has no reason to start a war. And Peruse says he suspects she's being used, but he needs evidence. He says they must see to it that Aeryn remembers what happened. I aimed and I shot him, Aeryn recalls. And that's all I see. John says they're getting nowhere, while Peruse urges to try again. She says all she remembers. Then don't see, listen. She remembers the child being there, who Peruse assures her is still alive. She has a flash of striking the child, but then realizes that that wasn't real. She never really hit the child. John spots a bug on his neck and asks, who cares? Aeryn remembers that a bug did bite her. There's no bugs on this planet, Peruse says. Aeryn remembers the shootings and gets distressed. Now John has a flash of standing next to Aeryn and shooting Peruse. John gets up and tells Aeryn that he's got to get out of here before there's another assassination. Me? Peruse asks, and John hands Aeryn his gun and says that yes, he is the next assassin.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun-dun. John, Aeryn, and Peruse are around some smoke to keep the bugs away and flashes away. John reassures Peruse that they're both stabilized. As they prepare to leave, Zerbat arrives with Sakozu and his gun aimed, saying nobody will go anywhere, or should he shoot Aeryn down like he did his father. Peruse assures Zerbat that Aeryn is not responsible for Gasha's death. She got bit by an insect that allowed her to be controlled, John explains. We don't have insects on this planet, Zerbat insists. Yeah, we know. John then
You keep
points out,
saying that.
yeah, I know, you keep saying it like it's true. John then points out bug bites on his neck and Aeryn's arms. Peruse says that enemies of peace, those who want power, must have brought them here. Zerbat says it's not possible, but Sakozu asks who his father trusted. Peruse. He always trusted Peruse. So she asks if he trusts his father's judgment, which he does, as well as Sakozu's. Mistake number 1. Anyway, Peruse says the insects are from off-world, so essentially they're looking for an off-worlder. We cut to the prefect's palace, where the prefect is manhandling Chiana while he berates Eolet as his insects failed. Aha, there we go.
That was quick.
Yeah, so much for that mystery. Eolet says these off-worlds are difficult. He adds that the clansman hatred is easy to exploit, but these outsiders have no reason to kill. He says he's not being paid enough and wants double. When the prefect confirms that he will pay for the extra bugs, Elliot creates the bugs, which come out from the sides of his head. Chiana slows things down with her precog powers to get a good look at their creation. With her blinded, Elliot hits Chiana and leaves. John and Aeryn are walking through the woods while fending off more bugs, as they both are sure they can do this. Zerbat and Sokozu go to a camp and free Dargo. Chiana calms John and says that she's in the palace and blind. She warns him that the bugs are coming for them and says the hive is in Elit's head. On the way up the stairs to the prefect's chambers, John and Aeryn stop and point their guns at each other. They have flashes of shooting each other, but overcome it and continue up. As Aeryn helps Chiana up, she says she's been blind for too long and it's definitely not going to go away this time. More and more bugs start harassing John and Aeryn, while Chiana says that they don't bite her for some reason. Elit enters and shoots at John, who jumps out of the way. Both John and Aeryn shoot him several times as more bugs are released. But he's still alive. Well, shoot him then, Aeryn says. No, you shoot him, John replies. She says she can't, and neither can John. And again, they turn their guns on each other. Well then, we have a slight problem, Aeryn announces. John tells her to fight it, but she says she is. They again have flashes of shooting each other, and they both do, but they miss. I'm not sure I have the strength to miss next time, Aeryn says. Well, I think I'm just a bad shot, John retorts. I really thought the coin toss ended badly, John says. It did, she says. Just as they're about to shoot each other, Dargo, Sokozu, and Zerbat run in. Dargo tackles John, and Aeryn gets tackled by Chiana. As both continue to struggle on the floor to fight the bugs, John tells Dargo just knock him out. Eolit wakes up, but before he can shoot anybody, Peruse gets him from behind and kills him. The prefect shows up and says, "Hey, it's excellent that they've extinguished this threat to peace." Chiana calls him a liar, saying he hired Eolit, but he's asked if the clans will believe a banished outsider. Good point. You ordered my father's death so there'd be war, Zerbat pronounces. Welcome home, boy, the prefect laughs, as Zerbat goes for his gun. Peruse tries to talk him out of it, asking if this is what his father would have wanted, but Zerbat aims at the prefect anyway. He tells the prefect he knows that his treachery would mean the death of every man, woman, and child in his clan, but he can die the noble hero. I will not be judged by you or your pitiful council, the prefect responds, and jumps out of the castle window to his death. Dargo tells Zerbat, "You made your father proud." And then we cut to Sokozu and Zerbat standing on the shore watching the prefect's castle burn. She tells him that making the destruction of the castle his first order as prefect was extremely bold. He says a leader belongs with his people, not above them. And Sokozu tells him he sounds like his father. He asks her to stay with him, and she says she would love nothing more than to be off of that Leviathan. And he tells her he's starting to care about her. Good, but you're right. A leader belongs with his people, Sokozu replies as she leaves. Chiana is with Peruse, telling him this is the longest her blindness has ever lasted. Well, then stop using the vision, he tells her. He tells her he should have let the bugs eat her hide, but she takes that as a blessing. Sokozu comes to collect her, telling her Moya and Pilot are waiting. And finally, we cut to Aeryn standing by the buried bodies of the dead, and John, who is watching her, approaching her and strokes her head in comfort. The end. All right, some trivia about this episode. The locations in the Australian bush used for this episode had suffered a devastating fire the prior summer, giving the episode a unique look. The dome set, I guess the prefix set, was previously used for the site where Grayza seduced Crichton in What Was Lost, and the room with Dargo and the witches in Don Quixote. And although Crichton makes a reference to Aaron's mother, this particular Crichton never actually met her. When Crichton asks Dargo to knock him out, rather than using his tongue, Dargo instead starts punching John.
Yeah, I thought about that one.
A lot, and not working. Yeah. So and as you probably figured out, this is the first episode of the series to not take place in the uncharted territories.
Not counting the first ones that took place in Peacekeeper space, right?
Good point. Although, did they go to the uncharted territories at the end of
Season
kind of? But
1?
yeah, so
Somewhere in there.
So maybe to not take fully place in the, anyway. All right, so that's the end of this episode of Farscape, which I have opinions that we'll get to here in a minute. But first, let's hear what you think about it.
Well, I don't know that my opinions are going to differ a whole lot. Yeah, so I would phrase this one as hit or miss. I liked some of the concepts, which I'm sure we'll dive into, some of the storyline, I guess we'll call it the A-plot concepts. But a lot of other parts and some of the other storylines just felt pretty generic. I mean, you could have dropped a lot of this into any episode that we've watched so far. So some good standout storylines. I don't know that we had anything that moved the plot forward other than getting the I'm gonna get this wrong every time. Tormented
Hmm.
zone chart, territory,
Space
space, area,
area
you know,
thing.
world, galaxy. Uh, but yeah, I think as we dive into it, it was fine. It just was. I wouldn't call it a standout, and I think definitely not going to rate in one of our higher ones.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I didn't really care for much of this episode. Um, and usually it's kind of this is odd because I love episodes of any show, not just Farscape, where they do like multiple points of view thing, like where they show you the same events from different characters' perspectives, or show you like their perspective plus extra stuff you didn't see from the other perspective, you know? But this time it just completely fell flat. I just did not care. Uh, it seemed like they had maybe 30 minutes worth of script and they had to stretch it out by another 15 minutes by adding in these mostly unnecessary point of view things. I mean, you probably could have just done a regular episode with normal scenes where you cut to another scene and keep the plot line going. I didn't think these point of view changes brought anything to the episode at all. And granted, doing more research, this was this writer's first episode of Farscape. He's got two more this season, so maybe his other two are better than this one. I hope. So, but and like you said, like overall, I did like the main plot with the clans and the bugs, and of course the mental frellery, so to speak, with John and Aeryn. The other plot lines, eh. And I guess another good point, like we said before, at least we did not have to deal with Naranti in this episode at all.
I think the only spot we actually saw her, at least when I was watching it, was the recap because that kind of explained.
Yeah, the flashback in the
Yeah,
beginning.
because
Yeah,
she gave John the drug stuff. But other than that, yeah, I definitely agree. Obviously, the bugs and the mental frellery were the parts that I thought were the most interesting. I think that was a really cool concept, and yeah, we'll probably dive into that as we walk through. But uh, I think yeah, I'll get to it. But the other pieces, yeah, they were just kind of extraneous, and all the POV stuff did at the beginning. That the flash back and forth was just confusing me. I was like not sure why we were where we were at, what was going on, which they were probably was what they were going for. But I think it didn't add anything. Like you said, once you actually get into the storyline, it wasn't really a major importance.
yeah, like they were teasing out some of these things, but that could just have been done with normal scenes, like have Dargo talking to Gasha, and then he goes away, and then Aaron calls John, and he goes away, and then Gianna shows up. Whatever, they have to do like the same thing three times with different things plus an extra 10 seconds of stuff that you didn't see before, and then do all again 5 minutes later.
Right. Yeah, if this had been a like a Knives Out or something where those flashbacks each gave you a piece of the puzzle or something that unfolded as you walked through it, but none of that had anything to do with the actual plot. So it's just kind of like unnecessary.
Yeah, and at least to your point, yeah, at least the main plot line was interesting, and Farscape does always interesting aliens, like a guy that can produce bugs out of his head, and those bugs give you some kind of chemical or toxin or whatever that he can then use with his mental powers to control you. That's cool. I mean, I'll give him that one. The things leading up around it, why?
Well, and we didn't get a lot out of that, right? I mean, for such a cool concept and an interesting villain, it just kind of fizzled. They didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, he has to get shot a couple of times, but of course he's not dead because, well, that's a villain. You never just shoot him and he's dead, right? But but other than that, it's like that was quick.
Yeah, but we did. I think I'm pretty sure we saw the end of him.
Yeah, several times. Okay, so where to start? Like we said, this thing repeats itself a bunch. Let's just kind of hit the main points. I was gonna say the highlights, but anyway, the main points. So first of all, I guess Chiana is doing Chiana things and sleeping with everybody on the planet, which gets a lot of them upset and banishes her. Well, not really them. I guess people's mothers and friends get upset. The people that probably anyway, we're fine with it. And okay, great. So they stick her on the Prowler. They send her back to Moya, but she comes back. Why? she didn't really do much in the rest of the episode other than just being around, being disobedient, and trying to cause more drama. Which, of course, that's what she does, but still, why? I didn't get why. And she gets captured later, or goes talk to the prefect about something. I don't know what, whatever, and uses her ability to slow things down to see Eelit creating the bugs. Again, why? She just saw it directly herself. Why use your powers and go blind for that? I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, so the Chiana plot lines were probably my least favorite of this episode. While not totally out of character, I mean, we've kind of established her motivations there, but it just didn't contribute much, right? I mean, they could have spent the time doing something else. It had nothing to do with the scheme to bring back the fighting on the planet, or she didn't really have anything going on with the prefect's son, or the not the prefect's son, but the clan leader's son, or anything like that. So it you could have eliminated it, and it didn't change anything.
Yeah, you didn't even need her there. You just could have put Sakozu in there because Sakozu could have tackled Aaron at the end instead of Chiana.
Yeah, she was there anyway. Yeah,
I yeah. I mean, I guess you did say it's the bugs and this guy's creating the bugs. Okay, fine. Other than that,
yeah,
you
you
know,
could have easily found that
I
out
don't know.
some other way and just moved on. So
Mhm. Yeah, and then we later see that Sakozu's following in Chiana's footsteps, although she's keeping it to a much smaller number and only sleeping with one person. Unfortunately, it's the son of the next prefect, so not good. But at least nobody seems to know about it, unlike Chiana. And she, like I said, she did some good things. Helping later convince their about not to shoot Aaron, and for them to seek out the priest. So okay, great. Sukozu did some good things this episode. At least she's helping here and not off getting chummy more with Scorpius, who wasn't here either in this episode, unfortunately. Although that'd be really interesting if he was here down the
that's
planet. That could be more interesting than than what we saw.
yeah. I wonder if the actor had something else going on, but yeah, this was one of the plot lines I struggled with. I guess there's a unwritten rule that all the characters get a romance planet at some point where they get to have a character they have a romantic interest in. But this whole interaction just seemed out of character for Sikozu based on her portrayal up to this point, right? I mean, we've not seen anything from her that says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna on the first backwater planet of the tormented zone, um, I'm gonna hook up with the prefect's son." Like, I don't know, just again, it did. This could have been fleshed out maybe if they'd shown that or shown the reasons for it or some of the backstory, but they didn't.
Yeah, or even something like, they were just kind of friendly or chummy, or she helped him do something, and he's like, puppy dog love with her, and she's like, whatever, something, I don't know, something different, but okay, whatever. I mean, it is what it was.
A
Didn't
lot
really.
of it, I think, comes down to time management on this episode. I feel like they didn't spend time where they could have, and you know, like you said, they could have cut the whole Chiana thing out, spent some more time here, made it make more sense, or at least make it mean more. And I think that's maybe a lesson that will go forward out of this one, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, you want to include all the characters in your story except Rigel and Durante and Scorpius,
And
but
Pilot and Moya.
and Pilot and Moya. Yeah, so you kind of did what you could, what you had, so I guess whatever. So. And speaking of or things we didn't see, I guess Moya's off having a hard time in tormented space, which I think they mentioned in the last episode that it's not a nice place for leviathans and things. She's dormant for some reason, and I guess this is the 20th planet they've been on to find drinking water, which I have many questions. Whatever. I guess it's not really important to know the details. And they'll talk about it later. So I'm guessing since they got the new prefect in their pocket, Zerbat, I guess he took care of their water problem. I don't know. I guess we'll find out next time of what's going on with Moya, because hopefully they can move on to the next planet and not be stuck here again. So,
I'm sorry. I'm never a fan of when they have these kind of issues that are just tossed out in the background. Oh, this is the 20th planet that we've looked for drinking water on. Oh, it is. You know, Moya's in hibernation or dormant because of the tormented space. Oh, uh, it just makes you feel like there was a previous episode or episodes that showed them entering tormented space and adding stress and going through supply problems and all these things that would have set up this episode. That it's like they just skipped it. It's like, did I miss half a season somewhere? I'm not really sure what happened.
yeah, and plus, the more you think about the economics of Farscape, it's like they're always trading for food and supplies. Trading with what? Like, do they have money? Did they get money from other places? I know they stole some jewels from places, the big heist, that one ended the one season two or whatever, but are they still living off of that? Like, I don't know. But whatever. You don't think about it. They're just ship needs supplies, they're getting supplies. Okay,
Maybe
fine.
they're pulling robberies in the in between episodes that we just never see, kind of a Firefly esque, So
Yeah, or they stole some stuff, they're selling it off, yeah, and just it's not important. So it's just that's Farscape economics 101. That's all you gotta know.
it's definitely not crackers. We can tell that.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, they don't matter. All right, so on to the part that we said was good, the best plot, the real plot of this episode. So the current prefect has hired this off-worlder, Eolet, to cause chaos and war, and bring back the old ways and get rid of some of his clan's enemies. This is kind of new stuff, so it's what people have been used to, so they'll have no problem going back to the old ways. Great, perfect, understandable storyline, no problem. And like we said, Eolet can make these bugs that make people susceptible to his mental control. Again, cool, always interesting aliens, love what they do. So he can cause enough death and chaos to bring back the war and strife and get things back the way they should be, according to the prefect. What do you think? Pretty much the same thing, I think. That was probably the best part of the whole thing.
Absolutely, this was all the concepts that I liked, and again, to keep saying the same thing over and over again, I would have liked to see more time spent here. Flesh it out a little bit. Get me to actually care about these people and the prefect and why he's what is his motivation for actually. I know that they give you a glossy one, but like, what really is what is he afraid of, or what is he? Did he bring this bug guy in like to do this specifically? Was the guy already here and they just have been working on hatching this plot, for a while? We're and down to the little things like what was the deal with the little girl that Aeryn kept flashing on in the market? Was that just the bugs messing with her, or was there actually a child? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff here that would have been fun that we just kind of missed, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the girl was definitely real because she was then at the end at the graves or whatever. And you did see Aaron, I guess in the beginning, like slap at her neck or something. So I guess that was like the one time, which of course you didn't put together for the next 35 minutes. But, you know, so yeah, it's just, yeah, I mean, it could have been put together a little better than it was, I guess. They could have extended that one plot line that we liked a lot better, or a lot longer than they did, to make it more interesting.
Yeah, it just needed some fleshing out to make it really sting. So
Yeah, yeah, that really bugged me. Yeah, but of course,
I'm trying here.
yeah, I know. I mean, well, hey, now we get to the cool stuff. So
Yeah.
the final confrontation with Aaron and John as they're trying to fight off the influence of the bugs, that was, classic. That's perfect Farscape. I mean, it's great acting, great, because we have like 4 years of history now with these characters, and we know that they love each other, and obviously Aaron, had issues with the bugs before, killed 70 people in the market, shot Dargo, almost killed him, and her and John are affected. They're pointing their guns at each other. They shoot and miss, and they're like, I can't do that again. Not me either. I'm just a really bad shot, but but you can see them fighting it, and pretty much probably the only reason that they just didn't do it was because deep down they both know they really are in love with each other. Finally, we can finally get to the root of this, and that really helped them keep each other from shooting each other. Although, yeah, granted, with the amount of bug bites they were getting, because they're just slapping each other silly basically, and Eolet's like right there at the end. So yeah, it was only a matter of time, like seconds probably, before they would have really shot each other. So, like we said before, in this case, Shanna was useful after all by tackling Aaron, although it could have been anybody else. And Dargo, of course, stops John. But yeah, that was pretty much the best scene in the whole episode, which was like the last 5 minutes of.
Yeah, I'll agree. I mean, I think once everybody swarmed the room together and kind of got to the resolution, it was a solid scene. So agreed. More of this, please.
Yes. So that's about all I got. Overall, a big eh. What about you? Anything else you want to talk about, or is that pretty much the only thing
No,
left?
no, that's about it. Yeah, I guess I'll say not to beat the whole thing we've talked this whole episode to death here. I think, but I'm really hopeful that as this writer gets more episodes, I think you mentioned at one point that this was like his first their first one.
Hmm.
as they get more episodes under their belt, they'll kind of trim it up, right? Focus more on the core and less about some unneeded periphery. Just finding their way with the characters, right? So we'll see as we go forward.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't see which ones he wrote and how far away they are, but we only got another what, oh, 13 episodes to go, so we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, only half a season left, ish.
Ish.
Because it's 22 really. So really, we have to wait till two more to 11 before we have half. There's a lot of math today. I don't know why. Why is there a lot of math today?
I was told there'd be no math.
Exactly right. All right, so speaking of math, we have a +1 to the episode count. So next time we'll cover season 4, episode 10, Coup by Clam. And playing a usual guessing game of what does that mean? Well, first off, love the title.
Yep.
100% a Farscape episode title, no doubt. Love it. Having said that, I have absolutely no idea what that could be. So, other than possibly some kind of coup, whether that's with our crew, I don't know. Does a clam somehow fit into that? I don't know. Is it something food related? Maybe do clams matter? I don't know. No clue. That's what I'm going with. How about you?
Well, the world is your oyster, and sometimes you can find a pearl in any storyline, but no clue.
That's where they find the stuff to sell. They open up the clam. There's the pearl. They got stuff to sell. That's it.
And
That's
they can claim it, but coop. I got nothing. Nope. Mm.
Yeah, because is it coup or is it coop? So are like the clams like in something that they anyway?
Wait, didn't Gary have a coup?
Yeah, right.
Deep cut there.
Yeah, Gary Rico dude.
Oh.
Oh, who knows? Well, we'll find out next time. Hopefully there's clams in it. I don't know. Why have that in the title? I don't know. Well, again, total Farscape title. Love it. We'll see where it goes. So that is your homework for the Farscape part of next time. And here in a second, we will cut over to talk about the new, or at least newish, Marvel Disney Plus series, Agatha All Along, Season 1, Episodes 1 through 3. Okay, so we got 3 episodes. So you want us to do the every other one?
Sure. You want me to start since you just did a huge one?
Sure, go right ahead.
All right. So we'll go ahead and jump into Agatha All Along season 1, maybe of 1, episode 1 through 3. So episode 1 is Seekest Thou the Road? So we start out 3 years after Agatha's defeat by Wanda Maximoff in Westview, New Jersey. Agatha is trapped under Wanda's spell, which, for recap, she was put under at the end of WandaVision, and now believes herself to be the police detective Agnes O'Connor within a crime noir television series titled Agnes of Westview, where she's fixated on a Jane Doe murder case. One night, a teenager breaks into Agnes's house looking for the road. Agnes believes he is tied to the murder case and arrests him. Rio Vidal, an FBI agent, comes to Agnes and helps her remember her true identity and realize the Jane Doe she is seeing is actually Wanda's body. Waking up from the spell, Agatha realizes that her powers are gone and that Rio, a fellow witch with whom Agatha has history, is there to kill her. Agatha convinces Rio to spare her until she gets her powers back, but Rio warns Agatha that the Salem 7 will soon be there and come after her. After Rio leaves, Agatha is unsure what to do about the teen whom she actually kidnapped while under the influence of Wanda's spell.
And that leads into episode 2, Circle Sewn with Fate, Unlock Thy Hidden Gate. So Teen reveals that he freed Agatha from the spell and wishes to travel the Witch's Road, which rewards any witch who survives its trials what they desire most, which in Agatha's case, the restoration of her powers. Agatha also realizes that magic is preventing her from learning any personal information about Teen, including his name. Needing a coven to open the portal to the Witch's Road, the two of them recruit the witches Lila Calderoo, Jennifer Kale, and Alice Wu Gulliver, who all have reasons to walk the road as well. But they need a green witch, But not wanting to recruit Rio, that seems like that's the one, Agatha instead turns to Westview resident Sharon Davis, who's just seemingly a talented gardener. As the four witches and Sharon perform the ritual to open the gate to the road, they and Teen escape through it narrowly, evading the Salem Seven. The group then removes their footwear and sets off on the Witch's Road.
Leading into episode 3, Through Many Miles of Tricks and Trials. Agatha explains that to reach the end of the road, the coven must face trials focused on different branches of witchcraft. They all also realize that Teen's sigil prevents any witch from learning his identity. At the first trial, the coven finds a coastal house with a bottle of wine that everyone but Teen drinks. Jen privately warns Teen not to trust Agatha, who is said to have traded her child for the Darkhold. A timer starts counting down, and Jen realizes the wine was poisoned as Sharon faints. As they gather ingredients to create an antidote, the witches hallucinate. Lilia sees her younger self and her maestra from the Renaissance era. Jen hallucinates a doctor forcing her underwater. Alice sees her mother, Lorna Wu, about to commit suicide, and Agatha sees a crib containing the Darkhold. As they prepare the antidote, the house is brought underwater, threatening to drown the coven. With a few seconds left, they finish the antidote, drink it, and feed it to Sharon. Water pours in, but a tunnel appears in the oven, and the coven escapes through it back to the road. As they recover, Teen discovers that Sharon is dead.
All right, so after 1/3 of the way through Agatha, what have you thought about it so far?
Yeah, I guess this will be a theme for this episode for us. The episodes were hit or miss for me. I really like a lot of the concepts. It in their overallness, I guess I'll say. Just kind of if you step back and look at it and look at what they're trying to do and stuff like that. My problem's really around the characters, or at least the acting portrayal of them, the way that the characters are acted. I don't know if it's that way all the way through, but at least so far I'd have to say it's just not grabbing me, and I'm struggling with the actual characters and actually caring about them.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I've liked it. Again, with all the Marvel shows, I was really glad for that recap. It was like a couple-minute recap at the beginning of what happened in WandaVision, because like most of these, I've only watched it once, and then the next shiny thing comes along, and I don't watch it again. And it's been several years since WandaVision, right? Like
Oh yeah.
I don't even know, 3, 4, I don't know. And yeah, I mean, the first episode kind of threw me off even after the recap because I was trying to figure out what was going on. Like, was it like an alternate reality thing, or was it really some prison or punishment for Agatha, courtesy of Wanda? Which, yes, that's what it was. But at the beginning, I'm kind of thinking like, I'm not really sure where they're going with this, which is always cool. And then obviously, she breaks out of that, and I love when they went back and showed how like what's happened to Westview post WandaVision. With the townspeople kind of acting all like weird, and because I guess they got really messed up for who knows how long, right, in WandaVision. So now they're trying to get back to reality, so to speak. And then we have, of course, our obligatory get the team together story, which is always fun. Again, little character things, but overall it was kind of fun. And then the third episode is kind of like your basic, typical Dungeons and Dragons kind of story, where the party has to figure out how to escape out of a dungeon. So far, it's been kind of like a mixed bag of kind of different things happening through each episode, which is always interesting and fun.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I do think maybe, especially on the first episode, I wish they tied it a lot more directly to Wanda's death, right? See, spoilers for Doctor Strange, but you know, it, I think they could have, if that had been how she got freed instead of some of the other stuff, with I think Rio and the teen and all that. If Wanda's death kicked her out of the illusion, I think that would have been kind of a neat summary and tie to the rest of the Marvel universe. I will say I did like the when they went back and showed the characters of Westview interacting with Agatha, and the fact that they knew she was still under a spell and just acting crazy her own self, and just kind of putting up with it was kind of funny.
Yeah, because Sharon's like, no, I'm Sharon, not the other person that I was in the dream thing. So yeah, it's kind of funny, just trying to convince people like, hey, wait a minute. So,
And her interactions with her neighbors, and all that. When
yeah, the one guy, yeah,
he's like, that's not what I do. I'm not your police chief.
yeah, right. but yeah, like because we can kind of talk about it. But yeah, the first episode, like I said, really threw me off for a good chunk of it, which is great. I like being confused, but really interested in being confused, like not mad at what the hell is going on. Like, so, and yeah, obviously they're doing a riff on the that series Mayor of Easttown. So we have Agatha of Westtown.
I didn't get that at
Um,
all.
I wish I'd actually have watched Mayor of Easttown to get more out of it. Which I mean I know because that takes place fictionally, like right down the road from where I live in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. So you know, and I know that they're doing some accent references, trying to play around with different accents, which I knew that that was one of the things that the Mayor of Easttown got critical acclaim for, from having, spot on Philly accents, And this mysterious teen shows up, and things start unraveling for Agatha's little dream world here. She starts to realize that what she's going through, her reality is not real. We meet her nemesis, so to speak, I guess, Rio, who's played by Aubrey Plaza, who I absolutely loved in Legion. It's another great series that really screwed with your mind. So, and really made you wonder what the heck is going on every episode. The comic nerd in me liked that we get the name drop of the Salem Seven in the first episode, which I remember from the Fantastic Four comics when they were dealing with Agatha Harkness and her son Nicholas Scratch, back also remember from the comics. So it's kind of cool little name drops. Although he was an adult in the comics, and here he's, I guess, a baby that I guess she gave up to something or somebody or somewhere or whatever to get the Darkhold, which I'm assuming we'll get more into that. So, kind of started off really great. Like, they got you out of the weird thing and into the kind of plot at the end there, so they didn't string it along too far. So, what you think about the first episode?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I do. I will admit I had a little bit of a fear that it was going to be not that I didn't. I really loved WandaVision, but I thought we were going to kind of have the same WandaVision approach where each episode was going to be a different genre, and that was going to really be odd going into what I thought was a witch movie, which we did get for the second two episodes, right? So I think we're back on track. I think my comment on the first episode would be you mentioned her son Nicholas Scratch, and maybe I missed that from WandaVision. It's been a while since I went back and watched that, but I thought Nicholas was the rabbit familiar she had in that show.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, yeah, I don't know. Because, like I said, I saw it once and 4 years ago or however many years ago, and that was it. So,
yeah, I watched it. I watched it twice through because I wanted to go back and catch things, but that also was 3 or 4 years ago, so I haven't watched it since. But either way, that took me a minute to get past because I kept thinking it was the rabbit.
it's like, why'd you sacrifice your rabbit? Yeah, well, I'll get it.
Yeah, especially since we just saw him. I'm confused.
Why is your rabbit in a crib? What? What's going on? And then, yeah, we get our second episode, which is, like I said, the gather the team episode. Get the band back together. Well, not really back together, but because apparently you have to have a specialized witches to walk the road. More on that in a second. And all the ones she wants to recruit all have issues or past history with her and don't really want to go with her, so she has to try and con them into it somehow. So again, fun, cool. You got to persuade and cajole and threaten or whatever to get people on your side. We learn that Teen can't say his name or stuff about him. They kind of gets all blurry and fuzzy and mumbly, so you can't hear what he's saying, like his name, obviously, which is a mystery. Although I'm pretty sure I got a good idea who he is just because of the typical rule of conservation of characters in episodes and series like this. So it won't be somebody we've never heard of before. My theory is that he's Wanda's son Billy, who's Wiccan in the comics, who's a magic user. So that would tie into I think what this is, because I mean, why else would you be blurring his name, right? Because otherwise it wouldn't have any impact, right? It's gotta be somebody that you're like, oh my God, it's Wanda's kid, right? So
Yeah,
we'll
and
see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm right. I don't know.
I do think it's neat that they blurred it for everybody, not just her, which was my initial thought. So
Hmm.
we'll see if that holds out.
Yeah, and we get some more comic throwbacks. We get Jennifer Kale, who's from the comics. I remember her from some of the Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, like those kind of Midnight Suns kind of things. Sometimes we get some more minor Marvel characters in live action. Always cool. And yeah, I guess the final witch that she needs is the Screen Witch, which we know is probably Rio, because that's kind of what they're leaning towards. That's why she refuses to deal with it. So that's not going to happen. So she just grabs her neighbor Sharon, who likes to garden. Like, okay, we'll see if that works. I don't know. Which we know later doesn't. But you know, then we have kind of the end where they open the Witch's Road, and we kind of see the Salem Seven, which I mean, I knew would not be anywhere close to the comics versions because they were more kind of superhero-ish, like Eternals, deviants kind of magical creatures, right? These were more like Nazgul from Lord of the Rings, basically. So, okay, fine, whatever. I mean, you can't do all the things from the comics, right? I get it. So, what do you think about the getting the band back together?
Yeah,
Evan.
I did enjoy. I guess I'll admit, getting a good band together uh, sequence is always fun. I won't keep beating the dead horse that the characters just haven't clicked for me. So once I had them, I didn't really care for them. But I will admit, you kind of mentioned the same thing I was thinking, which was the Jennifer Kale character. I was a pretty big Ghost Rider, Spirits of Vengeance, that whole Midnight Suns arc. Uh, Believe it or not, Night Stalkers was probably my favorite comic back then. So,
Yeah.
um, in the '90s, and so that the Kale family was a huge part of the Ghost Rider, Dan Ketch mythos. So I wish they'd taken that angle with her character a little bit, maybe kind of embrace the Ghost Rider ishness of it, and less the potions, love potion type witch. But who knows? Maybe we'll get there some point in the future. I just would have liked to maybe have that kind of edges towards the Ghost Rider family of comics.
Yeah, because they all had something. They're all magical. They all can do some things, but obviously either not enough because of what happened to them, or something that they want to walk the road to get what they desire. So we'll see more of that as we get into it. But yeah, I would kind of liked it to be more close to the comics, at least for Jennifer, because the rest of them I don't recognize from anything. I mean, if they were in the comics, it was after I stopped reading or never read those comics. So, but at least I know Jennifer, and yeah, maybe they'll come back to something like that, or that's just the twist that they place on these kind of characters because who else but hardcore fans, right, are going to know who that is, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. At least we not got the name recognition, right? So
mhm. But we'll see. And then our final episode, this time number three. Like I said, your typical D&D adventure. Wandering a road in a forest on a path on your quest. They come to a dungeon, which is in this case a house that magically appears, and they get their first trial. They get trapped in there, and it says like, drink some wine. It's like, sure, right? Of course, it's poison. So they drink it. A clock starts ticking down, which is funny. Great scenes with them getting all puffy and weird effects from the poison, and everyone like, oh, ooh, what's wrong with me? Except for Agatha, of course, who didn't drink it. And it's kind of funny that no matter how hard she tries to not drink it and to get rid of her glass of wine, it just either keeps refilling or a different glass pops up or whatever. So it's like, nope, you're gonna drink it. No way around it. So, and this is the first trial that they need a specialized witch, which in this case is their potion witch, Jennifer. So hey, get some good Jennifer stuff off the bat. Yeah, she tells them what they want. They go run around and get it. And I guess, except for really, I guess Teen and Sharon, right? They didn't have any illusions of past trauma things, just the witches. So they all have interesting visions of things, which kind of flesh out, their backstories a little bit. And of course, they make the antidote just in time and escape. But apparently, Sharon didn't make it. Oops. So I'm guessing that's going to make it really hard when they get to a trial that needs a green witch, right? Because that was supposed to be her. So oops.
yeah. This is probably where the character versus concept really gets hard for me because I love the idea of the dungeons that randomly appear as they walk down the road, and each one having a specific trial with a magic type. So the puzzles and the actual set pieces and all of that so far, I really enjoyed. I just couldn't bring myself to care that the characters actually made it through. And not all of them did. And it's like, great. And I realized we're only 2 episodes in, but it's like, okay, Sharon, who, you know, we have. If you watched WandaVision, you may have a little bit of attachment to her from over there, but we didn't really get enough time with her to even get close to being attached in this one. Like you say, she didn't have any illusions or past traumas, so we didn't get any backstory. She laid on the couch and died. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, of the coven, right? It's like she was the most interesting person, and Jennifer, because we know history of kind of her sort of trying to figure out if they're gonna do something with it. But the other two, I'm like, I don't know from anybody, and it's like, okay, I mean, I guess they'll get their moment in the sun in the next couple trials that need their help, right? Their specific expertise, but right now they're like, okay, one's mom like made the song that they sang, which is that was fun too. They're singing the song, and Sharon's like, oh, we're singing, whatever. So I mean, yeah, I mean, Sharon really made the these last two episodes, right? Because it's just she's just like, why am I here? What's going on? So
Well, and I kept yeah, and I kept waiting for it to be like a, oh, she's still got a little bit of the mind game, and she was a witch actually all along, and Agatha knew it or something, right? Maybe she was another witch that snuck into Westview with Wanda's hex, and uh, there was something there, but no, no, she was just a gardener.
yeah, she just likes her little green thumb and doing her little plant stuff. And sure, come on, help us out here. Well, maybe not. So, there's always twists and things, so who knows? But yeah, obviously it's going to be Rio, right? She's gonna have to show up eventually, probably, and then they're gonna have to like either reconcile or I'll help you get your powers back just so I can kill you. Which why you would just kill her without the powers? But sure, whatever. I mean, if that's your thing, great. Okay, but we will see. We got
Yep.
6 more episodes to go. So anything else you want to talk about? We didn't mention
No,
in the.
no, I guess we'll see what the next three bring, or the next six, and we'll talk about the next three. How about that?
Yep, there we go. All right. So speaking of that, or a segue, that's your homework next time. In addition to the aforementioned Farscape season 4, episode 10, we'll do the next three Agathas, episodes 4 through 6. And coming up in about a month also is like what Skeleton Crew, right? That starts in December.
Yeah, looking
The,
forward to that one
the
as,
next
as
Star
we
Wars.
record this.
Yeah, I haven't watched the trailer yet. I've been staying away from it just because I don't mind seeing it. I'm not like trying to hide. I'm not that spoiler averse that I can't see a trailer. I just haven't wanted to watch it yet. But
I, I I usually am, especially for movies. I really try hard not to watch movie trailers, but I gotta admit, for the Star Wars shows, I generally give up and watch them because I'm too interested. So I'm a little hyped for this one.
mhm. I think what the final season of What If is next month also.
Yeah, actually, I think what,
So
beginning of December, something like that. So yeah,
yeah,
are they saying it's the final? I missed that. I just saw
yeah.
season three.
I think I saw stuff today that they're gonna get the last one, like whatever, come whatever the tagline is, but basically it's like, yeah, this is it. Come on in, catch it while the last run,
Hmm.
which I only watched the first 2 episodes of season 2. It's like okay, I gotta watch the rest of that before.
Well, they're probably hitting the problem that they're running out of Marvel stuff to talk about because we haven't had any movies in the last year.
Yeah, we got what Brave New World, Captain America coming out, which that I am kind of staying away from stuff. I did see the one trailer where we see the Red Hulk and I guess messing up Sam there, but yeah, I'm kind of staying away from that just because. But
Yeah, but 2024 was very light on Marvel.
yeah, just the Marvel adjacent Deadpool versus Wolverine and Wolverine, which is yeah, I know you're not a Deadpool fan, but I liked it.
Yeah, so I guess maybe they'll if the properties will kick back up, we might actually have something to what if again.
Yeah, well, I've plenty to talk about next year, so or later this year, which has 1 month to go. But anyway, yeah. All right, so that is your homework, Agatha Farscape, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.